Vasistha continued, in the infinite consciousness, which may be compared to the orb of the sun, there are countless particles of light called jivas. Jiva is the individual, the jiva is you, the jiva is me, the jiva is everybody else. Our reality is consciousness. It's not your consciousness, it's not my consciousness, it's simply consciousness. So it's been compared here with the sun, and we are all rays of the sun. When one says they are in it, they are considered its parts, but in fact it has no such parts. The many abandons its diversity when it attains enlightenment. However, when it, the many, is described as the one, it has not become something other than it was before. Enlightenment is often talked about as the merging of the individual consciousness with the infinite consciousness. It's not that at all. It's not that at all. This assumes that the infinite consciousness was fragmented. It's simply the realization. There's a dawning of this truth, and I suppose that dawning feels like a merging, but it's just a realization. It is the same in all conditions and states. It is the content of the consciousness or awareness of the sage of wisdom. That alone is. Nothing else has ever existed. It is with the help of that consciousness alone that the ignorant apprehend the object of their own ignorance. Ignorance arises in consciousness. We do not know the I or the you or even the object that the ignorant perceive in their ignorance. We don't really know what we mean by I, and I do not know you, and we do not truly know what is meant by an object. Philosophers have debated this for centuries. What is an object? What is its nature? How do we know it? You'd think something so basic and fundamental should be obvious. You'd think that something as basic and fundamental as the simple process of perception, of cognition, should be obvious. It is not obvious either to the philosophers or to the psychologists or to the cognitive scientists. These simple, everyday phenomena are beyond our comprehension. That should tell us something for a start, shouldn't it? When the everyday phenomena, like how I lift my hand by a direct thought, I have the thought to move my hand. So how does my mind interact with my body? How does my insubstantial mind interact with the physical body? How does the electricity which my senses produce result in the whole phenomenal universe? How do we cognize an object? What is the nature of personal identity? What is the nature of its relationship with the external world? How does what is out there appear in here? These are fundamental questions. Obviously these things are all happening, but we don't know how. We don't know how. Look into it. It's totally baffling. Maybe it's because we're coming at it from the wrong angle altogether. But this is what is called ignorance. The feelings, I am enlightened and he is ignorant, and this is the truth, do not arise in the enlightened. We don't make these discriminations into enlightened and ignorant. This that is known as a creation has never been created, nor has it ever come into being. There's absolutely no reason why it should have. But again, we get caught up in thinking, in wondering, how did all this happen? How did it all come into being? What kick-started it all? Imagine it's a dream. Would these issues have such relevance? This world is Brahman, which is as it is here. This is Brahman right here. Brahman is not some abstract mystical entity. Brahman is our immediate reality. There is only the infinite space, and this is the infinite space of consciousness. It's the space which allows everything to happen. There is only the infinite space in which such notions as this is Brahma, the Creator, etc. float around. What exists in this space, the space of our awareness, of consciousness, is notions. The reality is an ocean of notions which we float around in and which we cling. We find notions to cling to. And these notions, we start insisting are reality. We might have the notion that physical reality is what we mean by reality. If we can't grab it in our midst, if we can't bite it and taste it like an infant might, then it's not real. That's how it is for some people. Others might believe in God, that becomes a reality, and all the rest of it. We are adrift on an ocean of notions, and rather than being terrified about that, rather than feeling insecure about it, float in it, float in it. Relax in it. No more worries, no more concerns, nothing to be anxious about. It's all a dream. And more about that dream, or that dreaming, in the next video.